Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. I went to Archewell today to return the washing machine, and I'm so grateful to the staff of Pick and Pay Archewell who were kind, friendly and fast. I even had time to buy lunch and be back before lunch, and everyone had eaten before my daughter left for work. Oh, I dream of the day when we'll each have our own car. It will be so much less of a rush. Anyway, I'm so tired today, as I have not slept well either. I think I told you this before, but I'm turning 60 this year, and since I left my parents' home, I have never slept in absolute darkness, and even in my parents' home, there was always a hall light on. Last night we had load shedding from 8 p.m. until 1:30 in the morning. I switched the generator off at midnight and went to bed in pitch darkness. I couldn't sleep and I played a quest on the tablet for about an hour. I did eventually fall asleep, only to be wakened when the power came on, and then 2 hours later when it went off again. So thank goodness the transaction went smoothly, the personnel was fast and professional, so I was in and out of there with a new washing machine in no time. However, regardless of my good luck today, I'm still going to keep this video short because myself and a helper is working on something eye-watering for you. But it is going to take a little while, but it will be absolutely worth it. For now, I want to comment and reply to some of your questions and discussions. And the one thing I was asked was what I thought of the French journalist looking into Meghan and Harry's Archewell and the 13 other companies she allegedly own or are associated with Harry and Meghan. Well, Charles underscore voicemail on Instagram translated it for us from French, and there is really nothing there which we don't already know, except for one thing. It appears that Meghan's longtime accountant and business manager has stopped being her accountant and business manager. Now, why would that be after so many years, after setting up Archewell and the multitude of other businesses for them in Delaware? Anyway, I'm not going to say much as yet, as I am soliciting some help to help me look into certain things and answer certain questions for me. Firstly, because my questions are not questions I see asked elsewhere. Secondly, because I don't have the bookkeeping and accountancy expertise, and nor do I know American tax laws, etc. And thirdly, because of my location. Normal phone calls from South Africa to California will cost me a pretty packet, and email often go unanswered. So it is going to take us a while to do a proper investigation, and I would rather take my time and bring you some proper information with receipts rather than purely go through the things we already know. This is a process I already went through with a chartered accountant in December 2021 when I made an in-depth video about the Sussex Royal Foundation and MWX Foundation. And then, don't forget, MWX Ltd. And then I went on to look at Archewell and the 13 other companies. I'll post the link in the description box to these videos, and that is if I remember. I always promise to do so, and then I forget to post the link. Anyway, but now we are a year and a bit along, and things have actually happened. In the past year, Spotify money, Netflix money, and Penguin Random House money should all have been deposited. And to purely look at the Archewell Foundation and wonder where its money came from, where it went to, what the expenses were for, and so on and so on, you will have to look at the other companies. I explained this before, because it is fairly common for certain people to have more than one registered business. In our little town, one of the farmers have a business in town where he sells second-hand and antique goods on the one side, and on the other side he sells fresh produce. Of course, he runs his farm, the antiques, fresh produce retail store, from 3 different businesses. That is normal, but 13 businesses registered before there had been any established business to go with the registered company. Currently, we are assuming that income and expenses for the Netflix docuseries was directed to Archewell Productions. We are assuming that all income and expenses for the podcast on Spotify were directed to Archewell Audio, and Harry's books money to Pika Publishing. You catch my drift, but I remember vividly what that accountant showed me, how people legally launder money when they have so many companies. Now please note, I am not saying this is how it happened, because I have not seen any of the other companies' tax returns and books. But this is just an example of how it can be done. Let's say they brokered a deal with Harry's ghostwriter, and instead of him being a contractor, they employ him at Archewell Productions at, say, $5,000 per month, and contract him out to Pika Publishing at $10,000 per month. So after 12 months, Pika Publishing had an expense of $120,000. Archewell Productions, however, had now earned that $120,000, of which they paid out $60,000 as the wage. So once Pika has been paid its $20 million for the book, it already had a tax-deductible expense. But where did the money really go to? With the exception of the wage they paid, all the Harkles effectively did was move money from their left pocket to their right pocket. And between the 2 companies, they had a tax benefit of not 120,000, but 180,000, because Pika had a deductible expense of 120,000 and Archewell Productions had a deductible expense of 60,000. And the Harkles are smiling all the way, because not only have they now scored a tax benefit worth more than the actual money they were playing with, but they are also still in possession of $60,000 of that money in cash. With 13 companies, they can circulate money and create tax benefits and shortcuts that will make your head spin. But in order to see whether they are really doing that, we need to see more. We need to see what the other companies did this year. It is, however, the charitable foundation which most people are more concerned with. We already know their income of 13 million came from only 2 donors. We now also know, and we've since learned, that the Archewell Foundation is indeed a 501(c)(3) company, thus a charitable foundation without any doubt. This means that contributions to any fundraiser for anything politically motivated is either not allowed or not tax deductible. Yet Meghan and Harry, or their accountant, did include a donation to paid leave for Americans as one of their deductible charitable donations. So first and foremost, that's the one thing the IRS should stop at and draw a line through it. Anyway, Then there is the actual pattern that emerged. When Harry and Meghan were effectively running the Queen's Commonwealth Trust in 2020, the trust had an income of £782,000, of which £705,000 was spent on running costs. So basically, that year the Commonwealth Trust spent nothing on charity. Now, when you look at Harry and Meghan, they did the same with the Archewell Foundation. The money is being used for absolutely everything, from flights to books to you name it. Whatever Meghan wants, she pulls out and flashes that card. They follow the exact same trend where they take care of themselves first before spending a dime on their charity. The point is that in order to give an honest narrative, one has to look deeper and do a proper investigation into all the other companies. Otherwise, it is just rehashing what we have already talked about. The other point is that even though we previously tracked money from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal and from Sussex Royal and MWX and Travelyst, etc., etc., and even though we have the proof, the dates of registration and dates on which these companies were resolved, we looked at Sussex Royal's debts. And to date, I don't even know whether the outstanding debt, money owed or pledged to a charity, has been paid in full, because I have not checked in more than a year. Then I also could not quite understand why it took more than a year to wind down MWX Ltd. I understand that when a business is wound up, it stays dormant for a period of time in case there are claims or unpaid accounts. But MWX was dissolved within hours of being created and registered. Asking for an explanation, the office of the Duke and Duchess refused to answer. Even further inquiries to the accountant and lawyers winding up Sussex Royal was met with silence. Then the Charity Commission looked into the money which went from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal instead. As expected, it was found to be entirely legitimate, as it went from one charity to another, and Harry worked alongside his brother and sister-in-law to earn it. But my frustration just grew when a lawyer contacted the Commission and told them that it's not the funds from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal which is being questioned, but instead it is the entire money split, MWX and Travelyst, which needed looking into. Because to this very day, Travelyst is a limited company and not a not-for-profit. Was the Commission interested? Did they do anything? No. It was all swept under the rug and forgotten. What happened to the money transferred from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal? What really happened to it? We don't even exactly know how much went to Travellers. So what we are going to do now is not to walk back on our own tracks and rehash all of this, but we are going to see whether we can apply the same pattern of their actions with the Queen's Commonwealth Trust and Sussex Royal and MWX to their current businesses. Just a word of warning though, at the end of the day you will understand why we're going this route, so please just be patient. I want you to be warned that we are looking at some of the Prince of Wales's financial endeavours. And no, I'm not talking about the current Prince of Wales, but that of his father. While looking into something completely different, having nothing to do even with the royals, I happened to find something very, very sad, at least sad as far as I'm concerned. And So I asked my friend to just moderate and edit the narration and the information for me, as I believe it is important that we keep this kind of information professional and keep as much emotion out of it as possible. So I'm going to ask you guys to hang in there for me for a day or two. I'll entertain you with some light-hearted nonsense until the full report is ready. Okay, guys, so that's it. Please take care of yourselves until we meet again on the next video. Bye.